for the first time.
We live. We are live.
I know, right? I know. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to the Collective Bargaining
Welcome.
Podcast.
Welcome, everyone.
I got Michael over there.
We got Andre over here.
I know. There we go. We're happy to get it going. We're happy to have it live right now. We've been trying to sort things out, get to an agreement on, just figuring out the right name, figuring out the right time, connections, etc. And just plotting out a course for this podcast. We think we're gonna have a lot of fun. What's going on, man?
I'm good. How's it going? It's been a long wait.
I know, right?
Long wait, but we're here.
We're here. Finally. We're here, man. There's a lot going on, a lot in the league. As you know, collective bargaining is a term that comes from basketball. And, when you bring two minds together that have a deep understanding, fundamental understanding of the game, we live it. We live the culture, and just like you in the audience, the game gets us excited every single year. And why not have a conversation, right, about it and enjoy yourself? And that's what we're here to do. We're going to have trivia. We're going to have just thoughtful discussions. We're going to debate, who's the GOAT, if there should be a GOAT, if we should be celebrating, just
no
every
GOAT.
player. I know, right?
Ain't no GOAT.
We're going to go through lists, a lot of lists floating around, but just dissecting the game itself and having fun with it. That's the main thing.
Yeah. We're gonna have a couple of trivia, you guys, occasionally. I'm gonna have some trivia for Atwood sometimes.
Yeah, man.
That he, some mysterious stats.
Man's gonna
chooses.
He's gonna test the knowledge, man. I know, right? I know. It's serious, man. It's serious. But I want to welcome you, the audience, whether you're watching live or whether you're picking up the video on demand after the stream. We want to welcome you to the podcast. Share it, like it, whatever platform you're on. We're here to stay. We're gonna entertain. We're gonna bring it to you as best as we can. So let's get right into it, man.
Let's go.
We're gonna be discussing today a few things. Aging stars. The fact that the league is in good hands. Moving on from the legends, absolutely legendary players that we've seen over the last 10 to 20 years. The nerfing of Harden, new rules, not only Harden, but other players as well. We'll also be discussing champagne basketball, the top 5 attractive and smoothest playing NBA teams in the game today, and even down to the players that make the game so attractive to fans. Contenders and pretenders. As you can see in the standings, right? We got a lot of different teams sitting at the top. And a lot of popular teams sitting way down at the bottom of the table, right?
It's only 10 games.
Man, that's true. But I know a couple people out there. Hey, shout out. You know who you are. I'm not calling names yet, just yet. But you know who you are. 10 games in and celebrating like you won a title, right? But yeah, we got a lot to discuss, man. How about those Lakers, by the way? 2 wins in overtime, right? Malik Monk looking like
in overtime.
That defense, though, right? What happened to Vogel, man? I know, right? Malik Monk dropping like 27 points, right? Team high, 6 rebounds, going 10 for 13.
You got to rely on Malik Monk to win. When you got a big 3. Well,
that's
2.
Crazy.
Because LeBron's out.
LeBron's on vacation, man. Yeah. Resting those legs.
Resting for playoffs.
I know. You better not rest too long. You saw what happened last year, right? So
yeah.
Can't afford to stay too long. But let's get down to business, man. Right now we're talking about those aging stars, and the fact that the league is very much transitioning right now, to new players. Players that we've seen over the past, maybe I would say 4 to 5 years, now starting to step into that role as leaders in the league, not just their teams, right? So when you look at the game, I'm just curious, Michael, what do you see? Do you think the league is in good hands right now, or is it a step down from what you've seen from, let's say, 2000,
Oh,
because in 2000, I think that's where we really got to see players like Kobe, Tim Duncan, and KG, and all that era
they were
start
running.
taking over, right?
They were
But
running that league.
with this transition, is it in good hands or not? Really, what do you see?
Oh, definitely. Have you seen LaMelo Ball?
I've seen
Have you
LaMelo,
seen
man.
Have you seen Luca? Have you
I've
seen
seen Luke.
Trey? Have
I've
you
seen
seen Trey?
Trey. I've seen
Come on.
Trey, man. I've
That's only
seen
a
Trey.
couple names. That's only a
Yeah,
couple names I name right here. Have
yeah,
you seen
yeah, yeah.
we got Tatum Brown.
It's
Listen,
true.
we got so many players that I can name off the top of my head right now.
Yeah,
That you got Brandon Ingram. You got Zion. Well, if Zion ever plays again. But we got Zion. We got players to take over.
yeah,
It's not like they're not talented. They're all talented.
right.
They're probably more skillful than the last generation.
It
Every
gets better.
generation is more skillful than the last generation. And
It-
it's not like they're boring to look at. They're
No.
skilled and they're exciting.
They're very exciting, man. It's very
Right.
exciting. Of course, some fans will call me a hater. Some fans will actually
Naturally.
say, some fans will, some fans will actually agree with me. But, the truth is, I do not like, players pulling up all the time. I hate seeing teams shooting 43s a game, 53s a game. And further out, I'm talking threes launching from 35 feet out for no reason, uncontested.
That
Before you even set your feet, you're launching a three.
that
I
that came from following someone else's.
it's
Everyone
true.
wants to be like Steph Curry and the Golden
Yep.
State Warriors.
Yep, it's very true.
So they're
It's
trying
very
to
true.
follow their game plan, their playbook. So everybody wants to be like, all right, let's pull up. But you don't got a
Yeah.
personnel for that. What are you
And
doing?
it's a part of it too, as we're on that, right? For a lot of players, it's a statement play. A statement play, for example, in the past
Yes.
used to be a tomahawk dunk, or if you
Yeah.
do get it, a 180 or a reverse or something like that gets a crowd reaction that stuns the other team, right? Gasses the other team.
A 3-point or a 4-point play in a corner or something like that.
Exactly. Now,
Yeah.
when you pull up from deep, I'm talking 35, 40
Logo.
feet,
Yeah.
logo, right? That's demoralizing.
And there's nothing you
Because
can do to stop that.
there's nothing you can do. Your feet you aren't even thinking about the player setting up a shot. And sometimes they're just sitting off a calm dribble. They're not really moving the ball around. They're just sitting off a calm dribble, and then all of a sudden, lights out. Defenders at least 5-10 feet away from them, so there's no way you could
Yeah.
defend that shot. So
But to be fair, there's only
Right.
a couple players that could pull this off.
consistently, yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
So
Yeah,
you
that's
got
true.
you got Dame, you got Steph. That's
Right.
the top two. Then you got Trey, occasionally, LeBron sometimes,
Yeah.
right? That actually do it. But aside from those, I mean, maybe I'm missing a couple of names, but aside
Yeah.
from those, they're not
Yeah.
much guys that actually do this on a consistent
That's
basis.
true. I think, you go outside of those players you named, and it's really down to buzzer beaters and that type of
Exactly.
play. It's not really down to. But I do see a lot of three ball attempts, a lot more. We know it's gone up
It's
every year, right?
honestly too much.
But it's a bit too much. It's a bit too much. You know where my limit was? My limit was when I was looking, I think, at the Cavs versus the Hawks. And that's when I remember they broke the record for threes in the playoffs at that point. You remember that? You remember that series? Right, right. And I still thought it was too much back then. And I think the record's already gone, by the way. That record is
Definitely.
yeah. And
I
for
think it's
me,
been
that
broken
was
like 3 or 4 times after that.
right. But my point is, even at that point, I was like, this is too much for me. So now, I mean, I'm saturated now with all these threes. I mean, my point is that the three ball has taken away from fundamental basketball, the ability to pull up at the mid range in a crowded field and execute a shot. The ability to post up, the center play. And we've seen it. We've seen what's happened to centers in the league. I mean, you could see it in the rosters, etc. You could see it on All-Star weekend. the impact it's had. And it's not to say the league doesn't have talented, big men, right? They're there in the
Indeed.
pockets, but it's just I want to see a balance, and so hopefully the league, comes back with some more rules, because I'm actually liking some of the rules that they've instituted. As we're talking about the league being in good hands, we've seen sort of these new players trying to create new moves and being aggressive in terms of seeking out efficient ways to score. What's your thought on that shot, right? The pump fake, essentially, where you pump a defender into the air. Now you've done your work, you've done your hard work, so now you've gotten this defender to get off his feet. Do you agree with launching into the defender's direction, or are you in agreement with the NBA to where that should be taken away?
Okay, so playing in FIBA basketball,
Right.
On a local basis, right?
Mhm.
We never get that call because it is seen as an offensive foul, and you can see why. You can tell why it's an offensive foul. You're lunging into
Right.
the defender
Yeah.
as opposed to the defender coming into your space.
Right.
So I agree that it's an offensive foul.
Right.
Right? I hate the call where you give a pump fake, a man is in the air, you into him, and you get two. I hate that shit.
Right.
That never made any sense to me, and I'm thankful that the league has taken it away. But what I also found strange is that they did a switch like this,
Right.
right?
Right.
They stopped calling it like one time. I was like, so does that mean you could have done this before?
All the time,
Like
man.
you knew what you were doing? You knew what you were doing all the time, so you could
Man,
have just made a non-call.
a long time ago.
Yeah.
So they could have prevented a lot of what we've seen over the years, because to me it's been atrocious. I
It has,
think
and because of that, it's sort of nerfed.
yeah. Well, and it goes a bit further with James Harden, and the league is calling it good play, right? That's what they're calling it, right? But he, it's not just the leaping in with him, right? He has the drive where he locks his hand, and I'm gonna do it with the mic. When he's driving, he cups your hand,
That's
right? And then lifts up into the gather after his gather and gets a foul. So the league has essentially taken that away from his play. And that's essentially taken away his ability to get clear cut fouls. And when you've tailored your game for, it seems like a long time.
About 5 to 6 years.
5, 6 years, man. And
yeah, after that,
it really has a profound impact. And it's not to say James Harden is like 25 years old right now, where you just jump back in the lab. We're seeing peak James Harden right now. So what you see is really what you get. He may improve, and this is my opinion, of course, he may improve marginally, but I don't think you're going to see a drastic change in James Harden from what you see now.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think,
he's gonna.
I think that his injury, still factors in
to what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, slightly.
Yeah, I could see that. But I'm looking at some of his. So I went through some of his calls, right? Just a lot of videos floating around, and definitely you could see, why it affects his game so much. And again, because of that natural reaction to want to cup that player's hand and grip it going in. You're just simply not going to get those anymore. And hopefully he can adjust. I'm with you. Hopefully we can see a major adjustment. These are guys at the top of the game, right? So hopefully we see a major adjustment, right?
And the thing is, right, there are times where he is fouled, but he tries to sell it so much they don't call that foul.
Yeah, they don't.
So if he just plays through it, then he'll be fine. They'll call it.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's one of those things where, rules. I don't think I've seen maybe a rule. Maybe the last rule I saw that I agreed with that had a huge impact was probably the the hack a shack, because teams started.
Yes,
I
that
mean,
was
teams
god awful.
literally started just killing the game way out. I mean, you start the fourth quarter and a team would just start fouling nonstop. So that they had to kill that. They had to kill it.
I mean, it
So
was a
that
good strategy, but you know,
yeah, it's a good strategy, but you don't do it at the cost of entertainment for the fans. That to me goes beyond, above and beyond. So um what do you think? What did you think about Anthony Edwards' night, man? I mean, we're talking about a guy that put up 48 points, a career high, of course. Would have loved for him to get that 50, by the way. But 5 rebounds, 5 assists to go with it, right? He was 16 for
uh,
27. And I think he shot 7 for 13. So really not, we're not talking about a night at the foul line or anything. I mean, he
no,
shot the ball well and really showed why he is one of the future players
let
of this league.
and let's remember that he's only one of 4 people to ever do this.
Yep. Yep. And
LeBron,
yep.
I think Luca, and who was the third? Who was the fourth one?
Who's the
Somebody
fourth
else.
one?
I can't remember right now. There are 4 people to have 40 on
Ah,
the 21.
was it, would Trey Young be in that
I
conversation or
don't.
no?
I don't think it was Trey.
Okay, I wonder. I'm sure I saw that
Yeah,
statistic somewhere.
yeah.
But that's interesting. That's interesting.
But he's been
Um,
showing some good promise.
by the way, he's the fifth youngest player, I think, to score 45 plus in a game. So that's elite company right there.
It's crazy.
Elite company.
That is crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's good. Like
yeah,
he is showing promise. He's got a bounce. He got a spunk. He's got
yeah,
a. Well, I should say he's got a little dome.
yeah, yeah. And he's
Got
showing signs of
lot of dome.
leadership, right? He's showing signs of leadership, you know,
Oh,
which
definitely.
is great, because I remember seeing a game. I can't remember the opponent, but what stood out for me was he was actually saying, "We can't play like this. We
No,
can't continue. They're coming in here and they're gonna smack us out. So we have to step up and play." And I was taken aback, because I was like, "We're talking about the youngest guy in the huddle,
you got Cat,
stepping up."
you got D'Lo, and y'all
Yeah,
are saying nothing.
nothing.
He's among all the players. Say, yo, listen,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
cannot lose this game.
I'm not gonna
This
lie,
is
I
not.
was a little skeptical about him in particular when he came in, because the immediate comparisons in the draft for him were Dwayne Wade. And
Mm,
when you immediately start aiming so high, because Dwayne Wade is high up on the charts, by the way. We're talking
yes,
about a top 30 greatest player
top
of all
30,
time, right?
third,
Easily.
third best shooting guard.
Yep, clearly. By a mile.
Yes.
Ever, by the way.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
in case you're
definitely.
wondering, ever.
Mm,
But
we agree with
no,
that.
when you get those type of comparisons, you expect to really uh, see a very good player. And I thought we got some mixed results, in the first season, which is expected. I mean, the guy's a rookie,
Yeah,
right?
you
Um,
gotta adjust to the game.
yeah, and what you have to keep in mind is it's not just down to the player, right? It's down to the team and the dynamics, the coaching system that you're jumping into, right? The type of
That's right.
offense they're running.
Always
So
about the system.
yeah, yeah. So, but he's really taken off now, and he's shown that, hey, I'm here to stay. I'm gonna be balling out, and that's what
Yeah,
he's
def-
doing. So,
he's definitely the
yeah,
lead on that team, and I think that they need
yeah,
to get rid of Cat for
yeah.
him to flourish more.
You know what? Here's my take, right? I would rather, because of the experience he has, I would rather
Right.
Cat take more of a position that, instead of battling for that number one position, because my opinion of Cat in this league is that any team he goes to, he's not the number one option. He's not going to be the number one option. Okay. And I'm talking in terms of, if Cat leaves, and maybe you can, I'm kind of curious to hear your take on this. If Cat leaves the Minnesota Timberwolves and moves to any current contender in the
Okay.
league,
All right. Contender. All right.
is he good enough to be the number one option?
No.
And if so, which team? No,
No.
exactly.
But we have to how to classify like who are contenders.
That- That's That's true. That's true. And I mean, we're moving into a different conversation, but you know what? To hell with it, right? We could do that. I
Yeah.
mean, to me, you look at the top leagues, and I mean, it's opinionated, right? But let's see, the East, you're talking Miami, you're talking Milwaukee, you're talking the Bulls, Brooklyn,
Yeah.
you're talking Philly. I
Yeah.
mean, if they're gonna have to do some adjustments come free agency, but I'm not even considering Ben Simmons, by the way. Um, I mean, if they could get that Boston trade, by the way, for Jalen Brown,
That's not
definitely,
happening.
definitely. You
It's
might be
not
surprised, man. Boston is way over their heads with this Jalen Brown addiction. Not Jalen Brown, but with the Jason Tatum addiction. By the way, that's a debate between me and you that's coming because I know that's your boy.
happening.
And I've
That
got
is.
some feelings. I got some feelings about that. Who's the best player in Boston? But we'll get to that. We'll get
What?
to that one. Yeah, we'll get to that. I'm one of those people, man. I'm yeah. But we'll get to that one. That's a hot topic right there. Um, so you got Philly that I'm adding to that
Yeah.
group, and
That's five already.
that's five already.
Yeah.
I think that's
You
it.
still got Bucks.
You got New York. I
Okay,
think I
go for
named
the
the
Raptors.
Bucks already. Yeah, I'm not going for the Raptors.
Okay. All
Yeah, I
right.
don't think the Raptors compete for a title this year. When I look at the other teams, I don't see them beating any of those teams I named.
I do not disagree.
Okay.
And that's in the East.
So in the West, man,
You got
this
Warriors.
is interesting.
So he's not gonna go Warriors.
I'm not picking the Warriors, but that's good. Well, you got
Okay.
the Warriors. Okay, so you go ahead. I picked the
Yeah.
East. You pick the West. Go ahead.
Alright,
What
so
you
we
got out
got
there? You
Warriors.
got Warriors. Mhm.
We got West. Warriors. Suns.
Suns.
Right?
Yeah.
Suns, definitely Suns. Um, Jazz are
Jazz.
always underdogs. Even though they may not get out of the first or the second round, they're always
Right.
there in the top five. Clippers.
Clippers.
Hopefully Kawhi can come back healthy
Right.
soon. Let me see. Five. I mean, I'm gonna go up to six. I'll have Lakers at six. And five, I'll probably go Nuggets.
You got Nuggets. Yeah. Nugget. Yeah. You know the Nuggets are trivial, right? Because of course you got their major injury to Murray.
Yes.
And even if he comes back this year, you're not going to get 100% Murray,
No.
right? We know how those injuries work, but we actually got a comment. So someone says, but Cat just wants to win. He's frustrated. They have not made any solid moves to improve drastically. I think he just wants to land on a contender to win a championship, which is true. I think that's the maybe we're viewing it wrong, right? Maybe it's not about can I be the number one or number two option. Maybe it's just about winning for him. You're looking at a player that's been through quite a lot, especially with COVID, his family, etc. And then on top of that, you got a city where he's probably given his all, right? And it's time to win. It's time to add to your show really what you could do. And he is a gifted player, right? He can do almost everything. I mean, for heaven's sake, I picked the guy in fantasy, right? So this season, and he always delivers, right? So it's just that I think Minnesota has been always affected by the culture. They haven't been able to change the culture out there. And now I think you have some players that have really bought into that team. And what I was getting at before is that I was saying rather than leave, right? If it is the case that he's trying to be a number one option, why not consider going to or remaining in that team and allowing Anthony Edwards to thrive, be what
You
he
know
can
how hard that is to do?
That is
Think about
very
it.
hard. That is
Think
very
about it.
hard. That is very hard. I
Um,
understand what you're telling me.
Yeah.
You're asking a player to
Not
really
be the
step down.
best. Not be the best, but be
Yeah.
the second best.
but but remember, you move into another team, a contender means you're not gonna be the best. So it's I think it's a good trade-off. I mean, I think his pastures are green where he is right now. I just think
He
that,
has to move. If he
yeah,
wants to win, he has to move.
yeah, right now in the West, you definitely have to do
Yeah.
that. I
Right.
mean, I just don't see a move or a player even that they could put on that team that would change everything, because it's so much more than just the a player. It's the culture that's really not thriving over there right now.
They
And
have to start
maybe
as always with organizations at the top.
exactly, you do. So that's major, man. But that's another player that's just been doing amazing things. By the way, I'm going back to that stat that you said the other day, right? I think it was Brandon Jennings, unless you mentioned him. Players that the youngest players that made 45, 5 and 5. I think it was LeBron, Anthony Edwards, Brandon Jennings, and you. Was it Luca? I think you named.
I think it was Luke.
Yeah, Luca. So yeah, but that's yeah, no, amazing, man, amazing. So he's definitely one to watch coming, because or one that's here that's going to be moving things pretty much.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, because he's seen how Minnesota. I think it's always good when you have a player that's on the outside growing up, and he's seen and he knows everything about Minnesota just like we do. And he's going to be out to change the culture. So I think that's why you're seeing this level of explosiveness, that drive that's not really common to a rookie, to come out and really be talking to the vets on the team and telling them, hey guys, we can't accept this, man. These teams are coming in here in the building and disrespecting us. We got to protect the house,
He's
and
built different.
he's built different. That's a good point. So so I'm looking forward to good things out there, especially with him. Who else you got, that the future of the game is in? You know, um
All right. So my number one pick, and always be my number one pick,
mhm.
LaMelo.
Wow.
Like when you look at LaMelo, right? He's got everything. Man, he can shoot.
Right.
He can pass.
Right.
He actually plays deep, almost at his brother's level, as in Lonzo, not the other brother that steals all the time.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So he has almost the total package,
Right.
and he's a pass first point guard,
Yeah, he is. He is.
right? That can get his shot if he wants to. And when you look at that, he's only 19.
Yeah.
He's only 19.
He's only
and he's this good right
It's
now.
true. It's true. It's true.
Right?
It's true.
After LaMelo, we have the prodigal son, Zion. If Zion stays healthy, I think he could be one of the biggest things ever. But I don't think he has a personality for it. But he could be on a Kawhi level superstar.
Honestly, with Zion, after I saw the gain this season, this is something that has plagued a lot of great players throughout the years, and it's unfortunately taken players from us as well, from the pinnacle, from the peak of the game, and I think Zion, unfortunately, given his start, you listen to some of the players and the way they talk about it, right? And part of the problem is it's starting so early. Like a lot of the players struggle with this through a mature phase of their careers, and it sort of it brought an early end to their peaks. But with Zion, what they're pointing out is a major concern is that the weight issues are happening and the injuries are happening this early. I mean, if you saw those clips, right? Exactly. If you saw those clips of him practicing on the court, I mean, he looked. I mean,
I don't think there's a word for it.
I mean, you don't see players in, I'm talking semi-professional basketball moving like that.
But he looked like Charles Barkley now.
No.
Yes, Charles Barkley, if he was to go on the court now.
He looked like a fan in warm-ups on the court, like a random fan. That just didn't look right. And for a player that looked, he looked like he was coming of age last season. Because honestly, I had Zion above John Morant.
Yeah, I know. I remember.
I was
You were all
aggressive on it, right?
Zion, and I
Man,
told you all year that it was going to be Ja.
oh man. And the only reason Ja has been, I mean, give Ja his respect, but Zion, I mean, when you look at him when he's healthy, oh my Lord, man, tell me who's stopping this kid.
Nobody.
You know, by the way, another commenter actually said, what about the Warriors winning without Clay? This is interesting. This will be scary when he comes back.
Nah, I mean, they still got to work through chemistry issues.
Yeah.
Plus, they wouldn't be 100% Clay, and you got to take in consideration that the schedule that they have. Well, even though they're what 1,
Yeah.
it's been an easy schedule. I mean, nobody was expecting them to be a 10-1. I guess we were expecting them to have at least 4 or 5 losses.
Yeah.
But it had an easy schedule per se, apart from the Lakers. So when Clay comes back, the schedule is going to be a lot more difficult, especially because he's coming back like late December, maybe January.
Yeah, January, I think, is what they were projecting recently. But, you know, my take is a little different on the Warriors, right? Because coming into this season, I had them more towards the bottom of the table. Now, some fans were adamant that, you know, they've got Steph. They looked at Poole in the preseason. And, I mean, to my surprise, Poole has actually been hot. You know,
Yeah,
I mean,
he's a new splash brother.
I mean, effectively, that's the best explanation. I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth. But, you know, can it last? I mean, in my books, I just don't see the Warriors. I don't have the, as we said earlier, I don't have them as a contender. And the reason for that is there's no way you get 100% out of Clay, right? Jordan Poole, to me, is going to give you games. When that playoff basketball starts and the pace of the game grinds to a halt, and you got teams that are, you know, just set up more defensively. To me, overall, I mean, don't get me wrong, the Warriors are well coached, and it's a system of basketball, which means that you can interchange pieces and get value out of those pieces. But to me, when we enter playoff basketball where the spacing collapses and it comes down to experience, and, you know, we've seen even down to Steph Curry where he needs space to really perform. I think that I just don't see them as a contender. But, you know, for the fans that think that they can win, I mean, who's gonna doubt the Warriors, man? I mean, we've seen what they could do, and the league is always about shooting, man. So, and they can certainly do that. But it's going to be interesting.
It's all about putting points on the board.
Yeah,
so a 75 to 85% Clay is better than no Clay.
That's true. Right? But is that the Clay you're getting? Is that the Clay you're getting? That's my question.
I don't know how much he is going to be there defensively, because don't forget, it's those two injuries. So I don't know how he's going to be playing on both sides of the ball.
Exactly.
We know he can shoot, but
we know that.
Can he defend?
Yeah.
Can he slide?
Because that's been key to marking players like Kyrie and other players in the league that are really shifty, and, you know, having a player that's willing to sacrifice that and can still come down and drop 39 and a quarter on you. I mean, come on, man. That's just unheard of, right?
Drop 60 with 3 dribbles.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Now, are you gonna get that? Is the main question. Opinions, but I just don't see that happening this season. It's possible he could come back and be even better.
Definitely.
Yeah, but in asking him to, we've seen even the great Michael Jordan try to come back in 6 months with 6 months of basketball or half a season, and we saw what happened to him, right? So injuries are serious, especially at that level, and I think he'll be cautious a little bit coming into the season. I don't think he wants another setback, because then people start questioning career, you know, and Warriors may or may not start thinking, what do we have for the future, man? Maybe we got to start thinking, what's next, you know? So the Warriors are going to be up there, but in the conversation. Yeah. Someone said Clay was their perimeter defender before the injury. Yep, it's true. He was their main guy on defense on the perimeter. Yeah, I mean, that's what we were saying, right? Yeah, we were saying, I mean, your ability to mark somebody who's as shifty as Kyrie, you would see it at those Christmas games or even in the playoffs. That's the guy that you're asking to step up. Because once you get Steph Curry in a trap, right? You set your pick, you trap Curry. I mean, Kyrie and all those guys that can dribble the ball are taking advantage of him all day long. So when you have a Clay that's has a bit more size to keep up with those defenders, I mean, it's a beautiful thing to see with the Warriors, man. It's
Yes.
amazing how that team is. I mean, we could spend an entire episode just talking about how that team is constructed, man, because I don't think I've seen, I mean, you got to go back to the 90s really to see teams that were just so well put together,
The
and a
Detroit
system of
Pistons.
basketball that runs so well, well, yeah, you're right, Detroit Pistons. But no, it's amazing to watch. I'm just not a fan of them, by the way.
Oh, fair
Screw
enough.
the
Yeah, no,
Warriors.
but the thing, the advantage that they have is that
Yeah,
the organization, as in the higher heads, they have bought in and they trust that their coaching staff knows what they're doing.
yeah,
And the
they do, they
coaching
do.
staff trusts that the players know what they're doing.
Yeah, they do,
Right?
they
And
do.
Steve Kerr has gotten some great assistant coaches to pick up for
Over the
his
years,
deficiencies.
over the
Yeah, for his
years, yeah,
deficiencies,
yeah,
especially for his deficiencies.
absolutely.
And people have not realized this. And it just makes him.
Yeah, and that's what great coaches do in any sport. Any sport. You go to any sport, literally. Go to let's use one of the greatest teams ever, Manchester United. Sir Alex Ferguson always switched his assistants, to fill the void. He looked
Yes.
at his teams and he always picked a staff that represented the strengths that the team was missing, and some of his deficiencies. So, it's let's head back to basketball. It's when you could see a coach that's doing that, it just you have to heap praise on him because to self-identify and to admit that I'm not good at this. I'm going to bring in this guy that I know is great at defense, is great at offense or sets, traps, those type of things. Then you're going to excel.
But you
Um,
know where he learned that from, bro? He learned that from
where?
Pop.
Yeah. And well, yeah, his years down there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely. 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 One of the greatest of all time, by the way. Yeah.
definitely.
Another
Who,
team
who,
that
who still hits the 3-point shot, by the way.
and I
It's not
and
basketball.
that's why I respect them so much. By the way, shout out to San Antonio. I love
Oh,
the city, but
definitely.
God, I just don't like that team, man. I remember wearing this playoffs that happened, and I'm actually in San Antonio, by the way, and I nearly got
Uh,
kicked out of a restaurant
that's funny.
for this very shirt you see me wearing right now. But yeah, interesting stuff,
It
man.
happens.
Another
Oh, you got a
commenter,
next
by the way.
comment?
Yeah, another commenter says, but Doc Rivers had an all-star coaching bench for years in LA and still never won a championship. Um, you know,
Uh,
we may have. I'll let you tackle that because I got an opinion on that actually.
so what happens is just like most things that we were speaking about earlier, certain coaching styles and certain players playing styles don't really mesh. So it's all about timing and it's all about the system. So while they may have had a great all-star coaching bench, the players went right for that coaching bench. They didn't have the right personnel to execute. I mean, you could say Chris Paul. What the question? Chris Paul wasn't the right person. Of course, Chris Paul is one of the greatest point guards of all time. I'm saying him. Maybe it's the rest of the squad that wasn't up to
Yeah,
par with the system.
yeah. It's to me, you have some other factors, right, that are affecting that team at the time, right? He did have an all-star coaching cast with him, but you look at the system as Michael was saying. You look at the culture in LA for that team. That team was under a lot of intense pressure to win, all the way up to ownership. To deliver a chip, and I just think that they weren't ready. It's not just the players. I mean, you could argue that Blake Griffin was overrated. Um, we look at a player that, to me, never evolved his game while
Whoa,
they were
whoa,
having.
whoa, whoa.
Let me I know we can debate. That's why I let you run first, right? So we'll get to that if you want to argue over that. But I'm only talking about the years in LA. Those years with Chris Paul where he was taking assists, Lob City, everybody's excited. Blake's posterizing almost every center in the league. What else is he doing, by the way, other than catching lobs or, finishing at the basket? Um, what else is he really doing? And can you hear me, by the way? It looks like
Yeah, I can hear
my
you still.
camera. Okay, it looks like I lost my camera for some strange reason, but camera went dead. But
Interesting.
yeah, it's if you can still hear me, I'll still talk. But
Yeah, go ahead.
it's one of those things where I felt like the group of players they had were they had a bar that they got to, and I just think that not enough evolution within their roster was happening, and I think that there was a lot of downward pressure because of the culture in LA to the need to win, the need to step out of the shadow of the larger team in that city. I just think it was too much for that team, that roster, and on top of that, their head coach has his own demons as well that he was dealing with because he has a history of choke jobs, right? Um, and I think he just hasn't been able to in those situations. I think coaches do deal with a lot of pressure, and I think he himself um, just couldn't deal with that. Would he ever admit that? I don't think so, but I think it's multiple reasons why that team didn't go as far as they should. And it's
Mm,
unfortunate because they were you could consider that team as loaded, right? But there's some overrated people on that roster, definitely.
all right. So you spoke about the evolution of the teammates. Blake wanted to have the ball a little more. And if you realize when Chris Paul got injured, he took on a lot of the role of Chris Paul.
Oh, he
Stop getting assists, getting more rebounds. He was involved. He did his shot to have a nice little 18-foot, 19-foot jumper
but to
consistently.
what extent, man? To what extent? We're
Consistently,
talking we're talking
it was
little.
consistent.
We're talking not enough to change the dynamic of the team to where, and
Well,
and
no,
hear me out on this. Was it enough of an improvement to change the dynamic of how your team operates
I
to
think it
where
was
to where? Mhm.
more focused on evolving his game than to help the team win.
Right.
So he
I
was
I
more
just think
focused on getting better as a player, like learning to pass, more assists,
yeah.
be more involved than actually letting the team win.
Yeah,
And he didn't see that.
my and this is my whole thing, right? I look at it and it's not to this extent. This is far worse. But I want to show you the comparison of, you know, the question of is Ben Simmons improving? Sure, he is. He started
Yeah.
shooting, he started extending his range, he started showing you in video clips that he could deliver a step back three, etc. But is it enough to change the way the team plays when it's game day, when it's game time? Is it enough of an improvement for your coach to trust you with those plays that your team dynamic changes? No,
But you also have to trust because
you
and
do.
it's
You
clear that Ben doesn't trust himself.
right, but that's a different story, right? But what I'm saying is that when you go back to Blake, yes,
Right.
he improved. He showed us little highlights here and there that, hey, this
Yeah.
is what I could do. But I believe the reason you didn't see when Chris Paul came back, why they went back to the way they played, is because it wasn't enough of an improvement for the coaching staff to change the way the team plays. That's my argument. I'm not saying that that's the fact, but I'm just saying, I feel like it wasn't enough of an improvement, and to me, Blake will always, for me, be that guy that dunks. I know he can do, and he's shown highlights here and there, but to me, his career, I don't think he got to where I expected him to get to.
So
One of the
is
comments,
that similar to saying that Zach will always be a dunk guy?
no, no, because here's the difference, right? Chicago has changed the way they play. because of Zach's evolution. Zach is a bona fide MVP level player right now.
MVP. Okay.
MVP level player right now. If you're telling me Zach, by the way, DeRozan and Zach are top 10 players, right? I'm not saying, let's put it this way. Based on form right now, they are both top 10 players in the league right now, based on how they're playing right now. Zach is not a dunker right anymore. He's not known for that in the league anymore by fans, right? So even if you're a new fan to the league, yes, you know he can dunk. When you look up his resume, you might know he can dunk, but is that what he's doing in games? No. He's the game flows through him for Chicago. He is the number one option on offense.
That's Blake wanted.
But there must be a reason why all-star coaches, led by Doc Rivers, didn't give him that. And
is this the
and
same
my
reason
argument
for Ben?
Yeah, I think it's a similar thing where we see highlights, but I think when the coaching staff, the people with experience look at it, I think they realize it's just not good enough. And I think that's the issue we're seeing.
I think
I'm going to struggle for a bit and change my camera, but in the meantime, maybe you could say your argument on that. What do you think?
I don't know. Ben plays basically 9 or 10 positions. In the sense that I should say 9, right? In the sense that on defense, he can play the 5 positions. He can guard anybody. And on offense, he can play anywhere from the point guard almost up to the center. The only problem is he doesn't shoot the ball. So does that cause a problem with the team? Maybe so. Not sure if it's enough to say from Doc that Ben is not a championship winning point guard. That's just me. I don't know. After you there? Oh, seems like we lost Atway for a little bit. And he's back. No. Seems like we have a little technical difficulties with our buddy in crime here. Just give us 1 second. Okay, Arthur is having a little technical difficulties with his camera at the moment. We apologize for that. But like I was saying, Ben is one of the best players in the NBA, and I think he should be traded from the Philadelphia 76ers. What they're doing to him shouldn't be done to any player. After blaming him for the loss in the playoffs, then they ask him to come back, and they fine Ben for not coming back. Tell me that doesn't make sense. I don't think it makes sense. Doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense to you. Please, anyway, just let me know. Ah, look at that. That's why I'm not hearing you. Seems like we lost way again. Some of the first episode tweets, the problems that we have. Who blamed Ben, the coaches, the players, or the organization? I think you have to say the coaches for one, starting from Doc. From the first time Doc said he's not an NBA point guard, that was blame. Then the organization, well, I wouldn't say the organization much because the organization backed up. They didn't say anything. Who else? The players, maybe Embiid a little bit. Was a little, what's the word? Embiid should a lot. He threw a lot of shade towards Ben, even though he said that he was his best friend. The fans, for sure. Philly fans are the most difficult fans in I don't know if it's most, but one of the most difficult places and the most to play. And I think because of that, that's one of the main reasons why he asked for a trade. The fans, the coaching, and the players, mainly Embiid, because they tried this process for years and it wasn't working. So they had to move on.
What's happening, man?
Back.
Can you hear me?
Okay, be back. I hear you.
You hear me?
Yep.
All right, good. Sorry about that, folks. Technical difficulties, man. We're here chatting, and obviously a Warriors fan decided they're gonna hack my equipment. So I apologize for just talking about your team and all that stuff, man. I apologize. I know you guys get crazy, man. I've been vandalized, man. My desk at work, they stuck a sticker below my laser pointed mouse. So I'm there struggling, wondering what the hell is wrong with this mouse. Turns out there's a Warrior symbol below it. To my phone, I mean, entire desk was covered in Warriors garbage, man. So yeah. But anyways, I apologize. So no need to hack me anymore, okay? But yeah. So the last question, someone says, as I got here, technical difficulties. Yeah, man.
Definitely a Warriors fan.
Yeah, definitely. So someone was like, who actually blamed Ben? The players, the coaches, or the organization?
All three.
All three. Because the fans, in my opinion, the fans were a bit upset. Well, not a bit, but totally upset. I mean, Philly is a hard-working town, right? If you ever been to Philadelphia, especially the city, it's a tough town, man. Just look at the rap, look at the culture, where those people come from. They believe in really putting in hard work. It's almost like a version of Miami in a way, right? They have their own culture. And you come in there and you don't see everything, right? But when the cameras are turned on, you see this player during practice, everybody else is sweating, dressed appropriately, and he's there trying to send a message to the team. I don't give a, and with a cell phone in his pocket.
It was not a cell phone.
It was not a cell phone.
It was his practice jersey that he didn't want to put on.
I'll take the correction. It looked like a cell phone, by the way. My bad. But I'm getting an echo, by the way. But he I think just showed the world in that small clip that he wasn't connected. And there's something in that town called professionalism. So once you did that, you really scarred the fans and the people that look up to you as a hardworking player. You just threw all the work you did in the off season out the window. When it comes to the team, I think really and truly we don't know that aspect, right, of their relationship All we see are the fines. We see, short statements from the general manager. It's a well-controlled system, right? And sometimes Ben and his agent will actually release something. I had faith that that part of the relationship was going to repair itself first, because that is where the money exists, right? It's not with the fans. It's actually the money drives a lot. So I thought that was going to be repaired first. The coaching situation, a lot has been said there, and I think even though they go back to a professional working relationship, I don't think there'll ever be respect between the two. Especially with the players, I think you're just gonna have like a working relationship, which is fine in sports. We've seen countless situations like that where you just rely on a professional relationship to carry you through. So I think there's a lot of damage, and I think up to today, the team was actually. By the way, I think Ben's actually faking the issue. That's my. I'm with the team on that, by the way. But they're trying to have him evaluated, and that's a tricky situation, right? Because he's under a lot of pressure, etc. I'm not saying he isn't, but I'm saying, he is using a loophole within the rules to not play, and the team is trying to get him evaluated to see if they can force him to play. And I think that's why they started fining him again. Get the money out of the way so that you put some added pressure on the player, or else he's
Don't
just
forget,
willing. Yeah,
they tried to force his hand. So in the beginning of the season, they said we want to get rid of him because he wants, for obvious reasons.
right,
The process no longer makes sense.
right.
So let's put it up. Let's get rid of him.
Yeah,
Then he said, no, we're gonna keep him. And he's like, well, I was already ready to leave.
yeah,
Now you want to call me back? And he said,
exactly.
well, you know what? I don't want to play here anymore. So I'm just gonna sit out. I'm not gonna come to training camp. Just like when somebody said he was checked out already. Philly don't know why you reported. The reason why you reported to training was so that he can keep,
Exactly.
right? And then they fined him for that anyway because he was being detrimental to the practice.
To the team, yeah. Yeah, but
So
the thing about it is, once you start telling the coach no and not following
yeah,
instructions in practice, I mean, you are detrimental to the team
I
at that
think
point, right?
that was the problem. If he came to practice and just went through practice as usual,
Yeah,
then they would not have done anything per se. But
yeah,
I think he was trying to make a point, but I think they pushed the point too far.
yeah.
So you're
Because-
trying to hold his ground like you hold the wrong ground.
yeah, you're right. Someone actually said, he was checked out of Philly already. Don't know why he reported to training anyways. And that's true, right? But to me, it's the money. The team couldn't move him because you look at his contract. Other teams are looking at his attitude. If you go back to the scout reports on Ben, you'll see some similarities with what's happening now, of course.
Yes.
It's not that people can't change, but I think teams are smart, right? Teams know that, with him, it's a long-term investment with his contract. So they don't want to be in a situation where they're absorbing that type of player where you haven't even seen him. And that, there's a good side for Ben with the team and playing, right? Because if he comes back, right, tells the team, okay, I'm going to play. But when free agency starts, trade me right away. So I'm going to be proving myself to other teams that I've developed a shot, etc. To me, that would be his primary option right now. Rather than lose money, get on the court, compete. There's even a slight possibility that you gel with the team and you guys go compete for a chip. They're a championship contender without him. So with him, he's an asset, right? Either way you look at it, right? I mean, well, I hear some disagreements, some grumbles over there, but yeah, so I think there's some things to consider, right, with the Ben situation. There's another comment here, but you can't treat one of your star players like that. The organization has to be partially blamed for this mess in Philly.
I agree.
Yeah, no,
Partially.
absolutely. And you look at who's running the front office, right? You look at their motivation, right? You're looking at a lot of different things as to why that organization has taken that front. They've really decided, and you look at their statements too, right? They've decided that we have the support of the fans almost entirely. So we are going to war. We don't care if this lasts for 5 years. We are going to war with you, and we are going to put you under so much immense pressure that you will crack and play for us one day.
That's what
One
Maury
day.
does. That's
Yeah.
exactly what Maury does.
So
He's a
yeah,
Harden.
it's you can't treat your star players like that, and I think it's forever damaged. Whether or not he plays and commits to them or not, I think it's going to be entirely professional. It's not going to be something where this guy has genuine love for the organization.
Yeah, but
Um,
I honestly think that he should do what you were suggesting earlier. Just come back, be professional,
yeah,
play and ball out. So at
yeah,
least it is your trade value, or let's the world see what you
absolutely,
can do.
absolutely.
Start shooting a lot more.
Listen, this guy comes in, averages a 3 a night. You're good to go. My honest opinion is that Philly will not back down from getting an all-star caliber player for Ben. It would be silly. And as I said, if he comes back and he can show, hey, I can knock down a key three, a game, maybe 1.5 threes a game. If he can average that, I think he's out of there. And the thing about it is, there. I mean, that trade with Boston is so intriguing, man, because I really would like for Jaylen Brown to get the hell out of this city that doesn't realize he's the best player in Boston. I said it. I said it. Jaylen Brown. I wanted to get to that, by the way. Jaylen Brown is the number one player in Boston. Okay? Don't listen to those deluded fans out there. By the way, I hate Boston Celtics, not Boston the city, but the Celtics.
Explain to me how Jaylen Brown is better than Jason Tatum.
Listen, Jaylen Brown is the better two-way player. All right? I'm going to start
I do
there.
not
He's better on
disagree.
defense. He's better on. Oh my lord! Listen, we're gonna prep and have a portion of a show when we have more time, and we're gonna debate about this, okay? Because it's at one point I thought it was close, and then I thought it was even. Maybe I want to say coming into last season, and then looking at not just this season. So I want to make sure that I let people know that this is not based on just this season and someone puts up a 40-point game and you think they're the best player. I've always looked at them with intrigue. And what I don't want to get this confused with is star factor. Okay? Jason Tatum will always sell more jerseys to you. Okay? He has the history, the attitude, the swag, he has the old relationships with Kobe, showing him moves on camera and talking that talk, etc. He'll always get the more votes for the All-Star team. Somebody getting worked up in the comments. Listen, we might have to get this person on the podcast too. Let me tell you, I will destroy you and Michael with the points that I got. but let me be clear. I'm not saying that Jaylen is the biggest star right now. Jason Tatum is the biggest star. But to me, when I look at all sides of the game, when I average out his overall game, and I look at what the system is tailored to, it's biased towards Tatum's game right now. I think he has the priority on offense, and that's what we tend to see. But when I look at the games in detail, I honestly think Brown is the better player.
So
And
let me ask you this:
yeah, sure.
um, is Clay better than Steph?
No.
Steph gets most of
And I
Steph
want to
gets
be
most
clear.
of the double teams.
No, but I want to right. But you look at, and again, on no planet will I say that Clay is better than Steph. I'm not falling for that trap. But that's a nice one though. I'm not falling for that. And I'm not saying because he's a better two-way player, he's the better player. I was just giving some points on that. But going back to what you just said, and you're not gonna catch me like that, right? You know you gotta come better than that to catch me with that, right? but good one. Um, the system is tailored to Steph. Without Steph, I don't think you have a Golden State Warrior team. He opens up so much more on the court. He's just a threat off of anything, off a screen, off the dribble. He can just, I mean, even if you're on him contested, his release is so awkwardly quick. And just not your standard release that, it's almost like a kid, when the ball is too heavy for you. So you just kind of push the ball off very quickly. Those kids that just kind of throw it out like this, extend their arm, one hand. It's just, Steph is an alien, okay? He's not a human being. So there's no way in any form or fashion that you can say that Clay is a better player than him. That's a different story.
Okay.
Someone, well, it's probably the same person that's coming out and saying, and soon we'll try to get the names. We'll figure out how to get the names up and stuff so we can see your names. But or maybe we can even monitor the areas where you're posting. But person says Brown is a very inconsistent player on offense. His defense is decent. I think his defense can be elite. I think his offense, he can show you that his offense is even more in a system that's tailored to prioritize his offense. That's my opinion, of course. People will say, well, why isn't he just consistent? Even if he doesn't have his offense, no, I honestly think that, if you put him in the right system where he's recognized as 1A, 1B, because to me right now he's not 1B. He's definitely the second option on the team. They're not sharing priority. When one has the off game, when an off game comes around, I think he will step up and try to show you. Or every now and then you'll get a reminder that, hey, I can be the man. I'm here. But honestly, you'll see. I think eventually what's going to happen in Boston is, I think the team obviously is not on a path to being a contender. I think unless they trade for an absolute star, I don't even know what position would improve them at this point. Maybe you could argue maybe a elite point guard to control the play, or maybe a center that is more mobile and not really just a immobile center that's not going to give you space.
I
So
think they need
maybe
a
someone,
point guard to take the ball out of Tatum's hands. He has
yeah,
it too much.
definitely. So I think with that said, I don't think they get either one of those, and I think he leaves because I
So
don't
is
think.
that Ben is the best shot because he's a point guard?
Well, yeah. Well, no. I think by getting, and this is why I think Boston probably wants him to play. I think show that you've improved, and if you having the ball in your hands means that you have outlets, right? You have elite players that can take the ball, like Jason Tatum, right? However, we need to know that you could shoot the ball, that you could open up space. We know you could pass it. We know you can rebound. We know you got defense. So that kind of cancels out some of what Brown does. But you have to be able to step up on certain nights when Tatum is not having a good night and show us what you could do on offense. And I think so. It goes back to why it's very important for you know for Ben to show what his improvements have been on offense. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So but no, this is great, man. So uh folks, it's really been great. By the way, before we kind of tone things down a bit, I'm gonna name some stats for you. And with those stats, I want you to tell me, if you had guys averaging this, where should this team be? It's all hypothetical. Okay.
No, it's not.
You got a guy averaging 19, 12, and 4, shooting 59%.
19, 12, 4, 50. Okay.
You got another guy averaging 23, 7, and 7. Okay. You got a guy averaging 14 and 9 rebounds, 3 blocks a game, shooting 42.4% from three. You got another guy averaging 15 points per game, averaging 41% from three. And finally, you got another guy averaging 17, 3, and 4. Where should a team like that be? Just hypothetically, I'm not going to call any names because immediately, of course, you know the name of the team. But where should a team like that be? I know there's a lot of other things like who's your coach, who's your, what conference are you in? But a team like that with the starters doing that type of damage, where do you
Oh,
think
these
they
are the
should be?
starters.
Yeah, some are starters.
Okay. We got 19, 12, and 19, 12, and what?
19, 12, and 4, 23,
Okay.
7, and 7, 14, 9, and 3 blocks a game, which is pretty high, and 15 points a game on 41% shooting. So they have two players shooting above 40% easily from three. And you got another guy averaging 17, 3, and 4. Where should they be? Should that be a contender, or should that be more of just a mid-table team or maybe just bottom of the barrel? I mean, that's pretty substantial,
That's
right?
that's some good stats, but there should be a contender. Based on the
Yeah,
statistics alone, there should be a contender.
yeah. So that's Indiana. That's the Pacers, and right now the
What?
Pacers are actually 4-8, and they just lost to the Nuggets without Jokic because he was suspended
You're
for
suspended.
that reckless, dangerous. By the way, dangerous play. That's a whole different topic. But yeah, they just lost without Jokic and Murray, by the way, which is crazy, right? So, yeah,
Denver's deep, though.
yeah, it's
Denver's
crazy, right? I know they're deep, but Indiana is definitely underperforming right now. So, because some of those guys are not even. I mean, most of those guys are not starters. So that tells you
yeah,
how crazy it is, So, but no, it's I think this is a good way to start, man. This is it's been fun despite the technical glitches, and
yeah.
I think we'll be here. We'll be posting. We'll try to rectify a few things and learn from the experience tonight. We want to thank the people that actually commented. This is gonna grow. We're gonna try to have
Yeah, we
some guests
appreciate
on.
y'all.
It's just a lot of love and respect, man. We're gonna try to bring in guests, have some panels, have some debates. It's gonna be interesting. We love the NBA. We know you guys love it too, and we're hoping for just an all-round great experience.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
Well, ladies and gents, this is the Collective Bargaining Podcast. Glad you could join us for tonight.
Thanks for
Conversation was
stopping by.
great. Yeah. And
We're back
you're gonna hear
again.
more. We'll be back again. You'll see a schedule go out pretty soon. There are gonna be episodes in between as bonuses where you see the alerts. So I would say try to get the notifications from either our YouTube or Twitter, or um, the Facebook group as well, where you can see us live. So
What
um,
days?
the days. So right now, I mean, right now we're streaming live. We're open. So we're kind of testing the waters because we have a time zone difference that's 2 hours. We have certain curfews and other things and just life in general. So we're gonna try to get it as often as possible, man. What do you say for the crowd? Are you gonna do this daily? Are you gonna do it every 2 days or so? What do you want to do, man? I know we do have a schedule in the background that we're working with, but I'm
Yeah.
putting him on the spot to see if he wants to do it daily.
Daily. Damn.
You gonna give him daily, or you gonna give him every 2 days?
If we do the daily, we got to do it like half an hour.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. We need more time than that to talk basketball, man. So I
Yeah.
would say definitely, we got Thursdays on lock for now, but
Yes.
what we're looking at is maybe 3 times a week. So we're trying to work out right now around Thursdays as the pivot point, and
Yeah.
maybe we use a weekend day, or catch people earlier in the week maybe a Tuesday or something like that. So we'll have more on the site for you guys to
Catch
know
people on a Monday or Tuesday
when it
right
is.
after the weekend games.
Exactly. You know, you got the primetime games on a weekend, so we don't want to disturb that at all.
Yeah,
So once you get the prime time in, then Monday maybe or Tuesday we catch you guys and we discuss some of the games and some of all the stuff that's happening in the league right now. Um, yeah, so catch us on Thursdays. We may opt for maybe a Saturday or something coming up just
yeah,
to kind of fill in since we're starting on a Thursday. So we may go with Saturday. So catch us on Saturday, I would say. But then the next episode from there we'll announce on Saturday, and then from next week that's where we start doing 3 a week. So
yeah,
you'll catch us on maybe Tuesday or Monday, but you'll find out before the actual day. Okay, we'll announce. Yep.
definitely.
All right.
Let's keep locked onto the social media.
Yep. There's
Collective
a lot.
Bargaining
There's,
Podcast.
there's a lot more happening, man. Artwork on the way. There's a lot of stuff in the background happening. We're trying to move things, so stay tuned. And of course, we can't wait to have guests on here, man. I can't wait to get some people that support Jason Tatum, and then I need to find those people that hacked my camera on the Golden State Warriors, man.
Oh, we got a question. Why the name Collective
Oh,
Bargaining?
that's interesting. That's interesting. Well, I mean, you could take the floor. I mean, it's
All right, so
really. Go
it's
ahead.
very simple. Collective bargaining. Everybody knows what the collective bargaining agreement is as it pertains to basketball. And such, me and Atwe have come to a collective bargaining agreement, as in he's 2 time zones away. Basically, and we're in 2 different countries, so we had to come to an agreement collectively.
Yeah.
So that's basically
And
how the name's at.
yeah, and we share a lot of differences, in terms of our opinions, which you'll see throughout the show. But the main thing is just we respect the hell out of each other, go way back, so
Yes, sir.
it was really easy to come to things. But in between, you got a lot of technical areas where you have to reach an agreement. So in the midst of all of that and trying to hash things out, bang, name came out. So but you can catch us on most of the platforms live right now, like Twitter, right now on Facebook, on the group where we could have the interactive conversation. I'll be posting on there during the week, etc., about the games, etc., and that'll build topics for the conversation. And if you're a guest, the beauty about this, what we want to do with this is so much different to what you see from podcasts, where that person on the podcast is not really getting into the mix. What we want is the effect where we're performing, but we also want to jump into the crowd and have the crowd come up on the stage too and have something to say. So if
That's
we
right.
interact on the Facebook group during the week or on Twitter or wherever we are, we may pull you onto the show to spend some time with us and give your views. Do
Yeah.
an episode with us. Why not? Right?
We do a full
So
episode. We could do a couple, just like a couple topics, and then
exactly,
you head out.
exactly,
Could if you just want to talk
exactly.
about your Warriors or
Yep,
about
yep.
Jason Tatum, then we could just hop
Absolutely.
on.
Just hop on. So
Mhm.
so a lot of that is coming, and of course this trivia. We may add giveaways, who knows, right? But I don't want
Oh
to
yeah,
get too ahead of ourselves right now. We just want to build this organically and work our way through and enjoy it with the audience. So glad we could have you guys, and yeah. I thought that was good, man. That was good. I felt like I was in a
yeah.
barber
So
shop,
that's
right?
good.
So yeah, even though I need one right now,
Yeah,
but
guys.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm-
All right, man. Well, folks, you've just listened to the first episode of the Collective Bargaining Podcast, and I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in, giving us a chance, and we hope to be back around Saturday.
on
We'll announce
Saturday.
the
See
time.
you
Just
Saturday.
follow, like, subscribe wherever you are, wherever you prefer to see it. Let us know how we can improve, and we'll be here, man, delivering. All right.
See y'all then.
All right. Peace out, man.